Hi, it's John T, the Omni Outliner Pro, and I'm just doing a little bit of follow-up to the video that we produced a while back on an overview of Workflow Pro. This day we're going to deal with the Workflow Worksheet, which is the hub of all of your activity within that application. And we're going to take a look at it firstly column by column. So let's start with the date column, which is obviously a date column, date type column. And you can use this however you need to. So if you're working in tracking a project using the dates here, you may be choosing to use the dates as start dates or as completion dates or perhaps as deadlines. And if that is the case, then what you need to do is to indicate that in the description of the task. The next column is the O status column, and this is a column that's been purposefully named in an ugly manner so that you don't use it beyond the worksheet. So once you get it into an invoice or into a estimate, when you do a save as, you remove this column altogether so that your client doesn't see it. Basically, this column is used mostly by workflow to track where different tasks are and where they should be sent. So a lot of the stuff that goes on in workflow gets fired from this particular column. Now, if you are using this column for your own purposes, you can see that it's a pop-up column, and you can change whatever you need to under each of these sections. So activity management, there are only 2 selections there. Estimates, only 2 selections. And invoicing, only 2 selections. As I said, you can add whatever you need to, but do not change or remove any of the existing choices. Now, the other thing that you should note is in the do not use section, there are certain items that we use only for the application, so that if you use it for yourself, then you'll throw the application off in some way. So do not use these at all, please, and for your own good, really. In terms of the category column, right now it's set up to track different categories for our software implementation. If your business is something else, then feel free to change these as you need them. The application doesn't use this for anything other than reporting purposes, and that's directly for your own use. The duration column is obviously a duration type column, and the way that you can use it is if you're getting paid by the hour for the number of hours that you devote to a project, then obviously that's the duration right there. If you're selling hard products like books or CDs or DVDs, then you can treat this column as a unit column, so that if you're selling 30 training manuals, you would put 30 in this column and treat it as a unit. The next column over is the rate column, and this is a dollar value column. This indicates the average, the rate that you're charging per unit. So if you are using the hours, then it's a rate per hour, or if you're selling books or whatnot, then it's the price per unit. Now the total column is calculated by Workflow Pro, so you don't really have a lot to do there other than to use it as a tool for your own business. Moving on to the rows, we can see that the parent row is a projects row, and this will basically allow you to summarize your whole business once you get into using Workflow Pro, in terms of where things have gone for you, in terms of the amount of time that you've spent on all your projects, the average rate that you've charged for all of your projects, and the total number of dollars you either invoiced or estimated. Now, just a word here. Workflow Pro treats any grouping of activities, or refers to any grouping of activities, as a project. So if you're asked to put together an estimate, that's a project, and obviously the tasks beneath that estimate are parts of that project. Similarly, with an invoice is a project in Workflow Pro only, because it's constituted of a whole grouping of tasks. So anytime I refer to projects, I could be talking about actual projects, invoices, or estimates. And when we get further along in the video, you'll see how this works. So the next row down is the contacts row, and this is where you set up your clients. So here we have a row devoted to ABC Core. We have the contact information here. The way I've set up the dates is that it shows me the last task that is to be done for this particular contact. So the last task to be done for this will be on July 31st, 2010. The status column at this point really reveals nothing. Category is left empty. The duration shows me the amount of time I've spent in total with this particular client, and the rate shows me the average rate that I've charged to this client for the work that I've done. The total column is important because it shows me the amount of dollars I've either invoiced or estimated for this particular client. Now, as a tool, these two columns, the rate column and the total column, are very important because what it shows me is if my average rate is $231, but if my stated rate is $375, then I've discounted quite significantly to this client, and I may want to review that policy or review the reasons I've done that. The total column is important because it shows a total of invoiced and estimated. So if I net out what I've invoiced to this client, and it happens to be a small portion of the total, then I may want to review how I deal with this client in the future. Beneath the contact row are the projects. So here's a project in which basically I've been asked to do some estimating for them. Here's an actual project. Beneath that is an invoice, which, as I've said before in workflow, is a project as well. Now, beneath each project are groups of tasks that make up this project. And you can see here that even within the tasks, we can have subtasks. So in terms of this first item here, training, I've got a task to create a custom manual for this company, and another task of delivering 3 4-hour sessions of training to this company. And you're able to track all of that using Workflow Pro in the worksheet. So the Workflow worksheet is really the central hub of all your activity in this application. Hopefully you understand a bit better by it now. If you don't, please contact me by email. Just go to my site, www.omnioutliner.pro.com, and use the contact page. Thanks a lot.